You think you make your own decisions. You think you choose what to eat, what to buy, who to vote for, what to believe. You don't, not really. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it's happening, who is doing it, and what it's costing you every single day of your life. These are 5 stats that prove you are being manipulated every single day. Stat 1, your attention is being sold without your permission. The average person sees between 6,000 and 10,000 advertisements every single day. Let that sink in for a second. 10,000 attempts to influence your behavior before you even go to sleep tonight. In 1970, that number was closer to 500. So in roughly 50 years, the volume of manipulation you are exposed to daily has increased by 2,000%. And here's the part that should genuinely disturb you. You don't notice 90% of them. They don't come with a label that says advertisement. They come disguised as content, entertainment, news, and recommendations from people you trust. That influencer you follow who just happens to mention a product. That article that just happens to rank one brand above another. That song in the background of a store specifically chosen to make you spend more money and stay longer. A study from the Journal of Marketing found that background music tempo directly controls how fast customers move through a store and how much they spend. Slow music, slow walking, more spending. Fast music, faster exit, less spending. Every single environment you walk into has been engineered by someone who studied your behavior more carefully than you ever have. You are not a customer, you are a target. Stat 2, your food is engineered to override your willpower. In 1980, the obesity rate in America was 15%. Today it's over 40%. And for decades we were told the same thing. People are lazy, people have no self-control, people make bad choices. But here's what was actually happening. Food scientists at major corporations spent billions of dollars and decades of research figuring out the exact combination of salt, sugar, and fat that short-circuits your brain's ability to feel full. They called it the bliss point, a precise formula that triggers your dopamine system so aggressively that your body's natural stop-eating signal gets completely overridden. This wasn't an accident, it was a design goal. A former Marlboro executive named Michael Mudd went on record saying that the internal conversations at major food companies in the 1990s were identical to the ones happening at tobacco companies in the 1970s. They knew. They chose profit. The stat that reframes everything is this. Countries that restrict food advertising to children have obesity rates less than half of those that don't. This was never about your willpower. It was about their engineering. Stat 3, your political opinion probably isn't yours. In 2020, researchers at NYU studied over 2 million Facebook users and found something that should have been front-page news everywhere. The algorithm was 70% more likely to recommend content that triggered outrage than content that triggered any other emotion. Not because outrage is true, not because it's important, because outrage keeps you on the platform longer than anything else. And here's what that means in practice. Every time you open a social media app during an election, a crisis, or a cultural debate, you are being fed a diet of the most extreme, the most enraging, the most divisive version of reality that exists. Not because the world is that extreme, because extreme content is more profitable than balanced content. A 2021 MIT study found that false information spreads 6 times faster than true information on social media. And the number one emotion that drives that sharing is anger. You are not forming opinions. You are being handed them by an algorithm that has no interest in whether they are true, fair, or good for society. It only cares if they keep you scrolling. The most dangerous part is that it feels like critical thinking. It feels like you did the research. You didn't. You were shown a curated, engineered version of reality designed to make you feel certain about things that are deeply uncertain. Stat 4, your salary was decided before you walked into the room. A study from Columbia Business School found that the first number mentioned in a salary negotiation acts as an anchor that influences the final outcome by an average of $5,000 regardless of the candidate's actual qualifications. This is called anchoring bias, and it is one of the most exploited psychological phenomena in the history of commerce. When a company posts a salary range, they are not being transparent. They are setting an anchor. They are telling your brain what is reasonable before you ever open your mouth. The same thing happens when you see a product marked down from $200 to $80. Your brain doesn't think this costs $80. It thinks this costs $200, but I'm getting a deal. The original price was invented specifically to manipulate your perception of value. Retailers call this artificial anchoring, and it is completely legal and universally practiced. Amazon has been caught multiple times listing fake original prices to manufacture the illusion of a discount. The FTC has guidelines against it. Companies pay the fines and keep doing it because the profit from the manipulation exceeds the cost of the penalty. Every price you have ever seen was a psychological weapon aimed directly at your wallet. Stat 5. Your memory is being rewritten in real time. Here's the most unsettling one. A study from the University of California found that exposure to misinformation after an event changes what people actually remember about the event itself. Not what they believe about it, what they remember. This is called the misinformation effect. And it means that every time you read a misleading headline, watch a biased recap, or hear someone else's version of something you experienced firsthand, your brain quietly updates its own record to match the new information. Your memories are not stored like files on a hard drive. They are reconstructed every time you access them, and every reconstruction is vulnerable to contamination from whatever you have been exposed to since the original event. This is why eyewitness testimony is considered unreliable by neuroscientists. This is why people who lived through the same event remember it completely differently decades later. And this is why controlling the narrative after an event is more powerful than controlling the event itself. Governments know this, media companies know this, marketing agencies know this. The goal was never to make you believe something in the moment. The goal was to make you remember it that way forever. So here's where we are. Your attention is being sold. Your appetite is being engineered. Your opinions are being algorithmically assigned. Your financial decisions are being anchored before you make them. And your memories of all of it are being quietly rewritten. This is not a conspiracy theory. Every single thing in this video is backed by peer-reviewed research and documented corporate behavior. The question isn't whether this is happening to you. It is. The question is what you do with that information. Because the first step to not being manipulated is knowing exactly how it works. You just took that step. One stat away from seeing it differently. Follow for more.